Well, this is the second generation Nissan Juke, Nissan's compact SUV. Although for this new model, it's actually grown just a little bit. It's a little bit wider, it's a little bit taller, and it's a little bit longer. And for Australia, these are pretty much the three staple variants we'll see being sold on the showroom floor. That's the base model ST, that starts at about $28,000. The STL, which starts at about $34,000, and this top spec Ti that starts at about $36,500 before on-road costs. And all of those see a price rise over the outgoing model. Now Nissan tell us that the STL is most likely to be the bulk seller with around over 50% of all sales. And to be honest, it's not too hard to see why. Now the ST is possibly the best value at under $30,000, but you're missing LED headlights on the front of the vehicle. It also is the only model that has a drum brake rear end on it. Disc brakes on these other two models here. And the 17-inch wheels on the ST definitely don't look anywhere near as nice as the 19-inch rims on the STL, and there's also 19-inch on the Ti. And of course, the first generation Nissan Juke, you couldn't mistake it from its really funky styling, and the second generation's no different. But I have to say, I'm a really big fan of this styling. I think Nissan's done a really good job. It actually looks really sharp. Now, these funky SUVs, they're pretty polarizing. You either love them or you hate them, but I must admit, out of all the ones available, I think this looks quite sharp. It has a really nice blend of standing out on the road, but it also does look quite sophisticated at the same time. Particularly STL, Ti trims, I think with the larger wheels, you've got extra cladding, and inside definitely stands out just that little bit more. Now on the rear here, we have some really sharp LED lights, just some more funky styling, a little boot lip spoiler. You even get a different aerial on the top, a shark fin aerial on the Ti model. But noticeably, there's no badge snobbery at all. So it doesn't matter what grade of Nissan Juke you get, it doesn't actually say if it's a base model or the top spec flag, just nice, clean, simple design. And also once you actually open the boot up, today we have a much bigger boot than we had before. So this has grown up to 422 litres maximum capacity. That's about the same size as a Nissan Qashqai boot, which is an SUV the next size up. It's really big, really deep. Now, that's helped by the fact that it has a space saver spare underneath the floor, or at least you have something rather than an inflator kit. Really deep, you could definitely fit a pram in there and some shopping or a lot of luggage, so really practical boot. And then you can flip the seats down, fold them flat, and you get 1,305 litres of extra space. So if you have a lot of stuff to carry around, heaps of room in here. Well, definitely an overhaul in the styling inside as well. The interior being repenned, as we can see. Some nice little styling cues like the round circular air vents, a bit of an ode to the front headlights, and some of the newer stuff from Nissan, like this nice newer steering wheel with a whole heap of multifunction controls on it for our safety controls, and also the radio, and obviously a new infotainment system, much nicer than the infotainment out of the old model and all the outgoing models. This is the new generation of what we'll see in a lot of Nissan cars, and it's quite nice. This is the mid-spec STL grade, so we have different seats, kind of a nice fabric cover in the centre of it, and then leather bolstering around the side. We have a soft cover centre console lid here. Now this grade gets the centre console lid like the top spec Ti, but not the base model, so some of the nicer things you get by just stepping up into that mid-grade model or beyond. We also have a soft touch dash up here, which is quite nice as well, and like I said, the steering wheel is really good. There's some quite nice adjustment in that range, as well as the seat, so you know, my 6-foot frame finds a pretty good seating position. Paddle shifters on the steering wheel just to control the automatic gearbox, and you know, it's pretty spacious, nice shoulder room, really good head height. You know, feels quite open up here in the front of the cabin. Also dual zone climate control, heated seats, so there's some nice mod cons to use. Infotainment system is now 8 inches wide. You've got Apple CarPlay, Android Auto connectivity through the USB port down here, so you can charge devices. The stock infotainment system, like in so many cars now, there's nothing to write home about because you'll basically use Apple CarPlay or Android Auto. Works really well, transforms the system, nice and bright, easy to read. And we also have a 7-inch digital display in here, just in the instrument cluster. Now you get that on the STL grade upwards as well. And as we can see, it has all the driver assistance systems. So that links into the extra safety equipment you also get in getting this grade. So blind spot monitoring, traffic sign recognition, there's AEB with pedestrian and cyclist detection, forward collision warning, adaptive cruise control, lane keeping assist. It's packed with everything that you could think of. Well, it's pretty plain back here in the second row, but importantly, it's comfortable. Seats are pretty supportive. Not too bad for headspace as well. I mean, it's fine for headspace really. I've got a tall frame and this seat is in the same position I would have it as if I was driving. So legroom's fine, it's comfortable. We've got a single USB charging port down here, no rear air vents. There's a little hooky hole here to put your mobile phone, a little hole in the back of the seat just because for design, and ISOFIX as well. So if you need to put a baby seat or two back here, easy to clip those in. So there's a new drivetrain in this next generation Nissan Juke. It's an Alliance engine. It has a 1 litre capacity, turbocharged, 3-cylinder petrol. And that's mated to a 7-speed dual clutch transmission automatic. Gets along pretty well, 84 kilowatts of power, 180 newton meters of torque. It's a bit lower in terms of where it sits against rivals, but in terms of real world performance and how it feels when you're driving it, it's absolutely fine. It's not terribly brisk on acceleration, but it's definitely got a little bit of zippiness to it. Perfectly fine for around the city. And the automatic as well, the dual clutch, you know, that's pretty quick. It doesn't feel lazy or anything around the lights when you're just rolling in and then getting back onto the accelerator because you need a little bit of power. And also new for this generation is the CMFB platform underneath, so the architecture that the vehicle's built on. And that's another product of the Nissan Renault Mitsubishi Alliance. So there's some technology sharing going on there, but that helps with synergizing costs and efficiencies and should promise to provide more sophisticated technology that can be shared at a lower cost. So should work out well for the consumer. And this car, it feels quite good. Steering's nice and light. Turning's quite reactive from the front end. You know, for this launch review, we're just driving around the city, so it's hard to get a really accurate feel for what it would be like out on the open road. But so far, first impressions are, and let's be honest here, it'll be sticking around in the urban environment anyway, but it works really well in this sort of use case. And also now we're just having a bit of a drive in the Flagship Ti. It's worth mentioning that the Bose sound system is pretty unique as well. We have speakers actually mounted inside the headrest, and it's quite a good sound system actually. You can really turn it up quite loud. Sound field that you get from these speakers is actually quite good. So another benefit if you are considering going up to the flagship model, apart from the Alcantara trims that we have around the cabin as well, but yeah, also some nicer features like that.